Hi everyone and welcome to the Blue Hornet webinar, Welcome Emails That Wow and Work. I'm Ashley Deese, the Digital Marketing Manager at Blue Hornet, and I will be your host today. So it sounds kind of funny, but your brand's welcome email or email series really is like a first date. It's the very first impression that your subscribers receive of your brand, and you want it to be a good one. It's the perfect opportunity to learn more about what your subscribers want and then fine-tune your future messages. Just like if you're on a first date and you find out your date likes tulips, you don't want to give them roses on the next date. The same can be said for your subscribers. If you're a sporting goods brand and you find out they like yoga, you probably don't want to give them a boxing email. Today's webinar will dig into why welcome emails are so important, help you determine the goal of your welcome program, and talk through other things to consider to ensure your welcome emails wow. So today we have two members from our account management team. We have Megan Weisbarth, who is the Senior Account Development Manager. She has over 9 years of experience in email marketing, and she works on some of our clients like The Ladders, Mutual of Omaha, and Parallels. Welcome, Megan.
Hello, everyone.
And we also have Brian Banks, who's also a Senior Account Development Manager. He has over 6 years of experience in digital marketing. Some of his clients include Snag-a-Job, Tilly's, Roxio, and Take Part. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, everyone out there.
So before we get started, a few housekeeping items. The webinar is being recorded and will be available later this week. We'll be emailing all of you with that information. If you are a Twitter fanatic like me, we have a hashtag for the event. It's hashtag BHWelcome. So if you hear any fun tidbits you want to tweet, go ahead and use that hashtag. And then we'll have a live Q&A after the event, or after Brian and Megan are done presenting. Just enter your question into the little box on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and we'll be sure to get back to you. With that, I will turn it over to Brian.
Thanks, Ashley, and welcome to all of you out there joining us on the interwebs. We appreciate you spending some time with us today, and we hope to give you some good food for thought as you develop or optimize your brand's welcome program. So today we'll be diving into the following topics on one of the email marketers' most powerful and effective programs, the Welcome Series. Well, we're going to start with why you should consider taking the time to develop one in the first place, then break apart the key elements of the Welcome Series, specifically tone, content, and relevance, and then pulling it all back together and reviewing program details and results from BikeBandit.com's recently optimized welcome program. After that, we'll kind of review other items you'll definitely want to consider and kind of take some Q&A after that. So while I have your attention, the purpose of a welcome series is to provide the new subscriber with the information they need to get the most out of the relationship you've just started with them. Brands that have more complicated offerings typically see higher retention and greater engagement if their subscribers have been educated appropriately at the onset of the relationship. You know, ultimately, we see higher lifetime values associated with these clients that have been kind of primed during the welcome series. A welcome program is also a great way to set expectations for the subscriber around what they can expect from your brand and your brand's programs. So why is the welcome series so effective? Well, we all know timing is everything. The moment of opt-in is the most opportune time to engage with the subscriber. While this number will vary, from brand to brand, subscriber engagement rates are on average 40% higher than regular message streams. In fact, I have some clients where the welcome series is in upwards of 400%. So it's really going to, swing, any way that way. But, on average, what we're seeing is about 40%. Your customer, potential customer, fan, newsletter subscriber, what have you, has reached out, opening up the lines of communication. And you have their focused attention for this brief moment. So it's your chance to make a brilliant first impression and connect with them in a way that is relevant and meaningful.
Great. So first order of business is, what are you looking to achieve with your welcome series? And that really depends on your overarching email marketing goals. We see a lot of brands who make an introduction with, just a quick handshake, hi, nice to meet you, short and straightforward, and then they move on to other programs. And that seems to be standard protocol, which is, it works great for some brands. At Blue Hornet, we like to push our clients to try and take it a step further when you can and look at other goals, like, is there potential to gather more information on your subscribers? Since really this is the first time with a subscriber, and it tends, like Brian said, to be more engaged. Another goal might be to shorten that time frame between email sign-up and first-time conversion. Or for subscribers who sign up through your shopping cart, a goal might be to increase that repeat conversion. Also, the welcome series can be used for an upsell or cross-sell opportunity. So lots of potential goals. Today, we're going to show you how a really well-defined welcome series based on acquisition source can take that relationship to the next level.
Thanks, Megan. So as Meg was talking about laying out your goals for a program, then it'll be time to start developing your messages. And in the following section, we'll be breaking down the welcome series into 3 key elements. First is tone, the voice in which you deliver your message or messages. So this isn't going to, kind of vary wildly from, what they're going to expect down the road. You have your brand voice pretty established at this point with your website, so it's going to be kind of similar. Of course, there's going to be certain themes to weave into that. Then is content, the message itself, or the meat of the welcome series burger, if you will, or for any of you marketers out there who are vegan or what have you, maybe it's like your tofu or like kind of the quinoa on your salad. And then lastly, relevance. How will we making the message resonate as much as possible with your new subscribers?
Great. So we'll kick off here with tone. I don't know about you guys, but I love when a company has a very clear brand voice and when it really shines through in an email marketing program. For welcome series, we find it's really beneficial to have this overarching tone of excitement. Hooray! To start off this new subscriber relationship. They took the time to sign up, so it's protocol to say thanks for the email address, welcome to our program, and then if you can, talk a little bit about what to expect. Here's one example here from Lululemon that shows you their welcome message. I think they do a really great job to show excitement, let you know that there'll be a weekly cadence, and then also give you a glimpse into other social outlets you can connect with them, whether it be their blog or Instagram, so you can see where else you can stay connected. We've also included on this slide, we've also included some other subject lines, so you can see size does matter, it's here, your girls will thank you. Yoga is so hot right now, and this way to the anti-stink zone. So these are a couple other subject lines that Lululemon uses that really create this creative brand voice, very playful, don't take themselves too seriously, and really, show that you can get people to open your messages without, always providing an offer in the subject line.
And something that's kind of neat in the Lulu welcome message is it's subtle, but you'll be first to see new gear. Adding kind of element of exclusivity to the welcome series, like you're part of the inside click now, and you're going to get first dibs on any great deals, etc. This is a great way to have that exclusivity and drive that excitement, and have them waiting maybe for the next message in your series.
Completely agree. Absolutely. Moving on, as far as recommendations on content, we're big components on keeping it clean, clear, and simple, and very focused on what you hope to achieve. A lot of brands try to. There
are a lot of blands out there.
There are some blands, but
this is the welcome series. Hopefully, turns you from a bland into a brand.
Totally. So a lot of brands try to clutter up one welcome message with everything they want to say to a new subscriber. Well, nobody likes an overwhelming first impression. So to try to avoid that, we find it beneficial when you can to extend that content into a series of relevant messages with opportunities to take action. So very clear call to actions: purchase, learn more, update your preferences. Make these actions clear and easy for them to do. And it's important to do that not only on a desktop, but nowadays it's very, very important to make sure that's clear on a mobile device as well.
All right. So I kind of get to take credit for naming this one. Different strokes for different folks. I was hoping they'd put a picture of Gary Coleman in here, but I guess maybe it's a little too soon. Rest in peace, Gary. So since you just met these new subscribers and customers, you'll need to get creative in order to make the Welcome Series as relevant as possible. And this can include making certain assumptions about your subscriber based on their source of acquisition in order to provide the most relevant and effective messages. So, show them you're worthy of their time and inbox. By putting in a little thought and effort beforehand and wowing them with this, first message, you're going to kind of see, you're going to see a lot of great things. You're going to definitely see improve engagement down the road and, less attrition, et cetera. So, for example, if your subscriber opts in from a social site, send them a socially geared, share-friendly email. That's kind of their milieu, you give them that palette to do that. So, and then for brands with brick-and-mortar locations or print channels that have a text-to-join program, make sure that message is mobile-friendly with easy reading and tapping. In addition, leverage any profile information you've obtained during the subscriber acquisition to add to the experience. You could go basic with just, some simple first-name personalization, whether it's in the subject line or in the body of the email. But, you could also go more sophisticated. Shopping cart acquisition, if they, end up signing up during the purchase stream on your website, you could leverage a lot of that product or product category information into the message. However, just one caveat, big number 4 bullet point here, don't be creepy. Just because you have the data doesn't mean you have to use it, and there is an extremely fine line between what's appropriate in terms of use of data and creepy use of data. So I want to leave that to your best judgment to err on the side of caution there. So now that we've kind of put it all together, we have an example here of an onboarding program we developed for BikeBandit.com. BikeBandit is an online power sports superstore featuring 8 million parts and items for the motorcycle, off-road, snowmobile, personal watercraft enthusiasts. So together with Blue Hornet Strategic Services team, BikeBandit's email team executed on the below onboarding program, which takes a different message stream for non-purchaser email list subscribers and subscribers who opted in during the purchase process. Now, I could bet half of you are squinting your eyes or trying to adjust the resolution on your monitors to make out what's going on in this message decision tree, but please, no need. There's no need to do that. This graphic here is just to simply illustrate how deep down the rabbit hole you could go if you wanted to start adding more variables and messages into your Welcome Series mix. As I mentioned, you're seeing 2 different streams. The top, what top is non-purchasers, the below is purchasers, and it's pretty simple, intuitive segmentation. You're going to have different goals for each of those subscribers, but there are several different ways to slice your data. Whether it is by acquisition source, other key data points provided at time of sign up, etc. It will really come down to you and your brand to dictate what's going to make the most sense for your subscribers and your welcome stream.
Great. So we're going to take a focused look at this elaborate program and really zoom in on the first 2 messages of the non-purchaser stream. To start, you have the subscriber's name in the subject line, also a friendly thanks for signing up, and welcome to the email program. That's that little letter at the top there. Then I like that this series is motivated to learn more about their subscribers by using a little bit of progressive profiling. So to give you a quick definition of progressive profiling, it's a way to gather more information on your subscriber using click behavior. So in this case, BikeBandit gives the subscriber 5 options, as you can see here, and it's those blue items in the message below the welcome. So you can click on OEM parts, tires and tubes, manuals and tools, lots of options. And when clicked on the Blue Hornet end, the subscriber is dropped into a segment. So based on what segment they're put into, or what bucket, then the second message in the series features that clicked category. So you can see here let's see, it looks like Rising Gear were clicked, and that, based on what they click, they're given that message, that hero shot. And then below it can be secondary content to drive them to the website. But it's kind of great you've gotten past that first step in your relationship, and you're really then making that second message a little bit more tailored on what you know about the person. Also, if, say, they don't click anything, then you can have a default option that shows up as a second message, or decide to discontinue the series.
And you could probably see, or obviously we couldn't really see the decision tree, but we also had kind of a contingency. So what happens if someone doesn't even open your email? In that case, you could kind of send that same creative and slap a different subject line on it to have it stand out a little bit more. It kind of saves your creative team from whipping up another email. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you kind of fork off and kind of cover the field, so to speak. So now we're going to kind of deal into the first emails in the purchaser stream. And at first blush, you can tell that they aren't wildly different from the non-purchaser track, which from a creative bandwidth perspective is great. It goes to show you that little tweaks in the messaging and cadence can still give the illusion of a tailored field without too much input. So your creative team's going to thank you. You're not going to be taxing them with whipping up 500 different variations of an email. Just little things here and there can go a long way. And so because this acquisition of these subscribers began with purchase, the email relationship begins with the transactional message. And we have the purchaser history, so we were able to leverage product category in the first message to kind of, similar to what you saw in the non-purchaser, where they had Rising Gear, you'd have either OEM parts, aftermarket parts, etc. From there, the next message included a progressive profiling email in which we explicitly requested the subscriber's input to help provide more personal information so that we could better serve them in the messages to come. In Bike Bandit's case, we were funneling them to a preference center in which the subscriber would tell us the type or types of machines that they own, their riding preferences, etc. Down the road, this information would help power future communications, maybe specials on their category of bike or their watercrafter, etc. And then from there, because the goal of the purchaser program was to really elicit a follow-up purchase, the subscribers received a blanket offer. And basically from there, we got to see the results. And Head & Shoulders compared what we saw comparing a one-size-fits-all singular email to the purchase, non-purchase email that we just kind of briefly went through with you guys. I can't give you all the secret sauce from our strategic team. But you can see here that the extra time and effort paid off. In the non-purchasers, we saw an increase of 7% in the number of transactions before and after the implementation, and then revenue also increased. Purchasers, however, we saw a larger increase in terms of the repeat purchases. We kind of had a baseline, and from that, 31% of purchasers, the purchasers who came back increased 31%, and had a great effect on their overall revenue.
Super. So now thinking about, now we've got the nuts and bolts, we want to talk a few other items to consider when looking at your welcome series. One is looking at unique promo codes. So this helps the marketer from a control and tracking perspective. We really like to use unique promo codes, especially when you want to provide a decent offer to start off with your welcome series. If you want to provide a decent offer, you really don't want that to go viral. So we really highly recommend using unique promo codes so that helps with that. Also, it helps control from a tracking perspective, one-to-one. Also, if you decide to go with a welcome series versus just one welcome message, we highly recommend you exclude those subscribers from other promotional messaging. You really want to develop this initial relationship before diving them into all of the other promotional and other types of programs you have in place. So that's key.
Yeah, and that'll help from them getting, multiple emails from you in the same day and
Absolutely.
causing, a variety of deliverability issues. But I kind of want to back up to the unique coupon codes. Another thing that, the marketers want to keep in mind from a coupon perspective is when in your welcome stream to leverage coupons, if at all. Make sure you've weighed in all the pros and cons before you move forward on including a coupon code in the first message of your welcome program. More often than not, what I've seen is someone will subscribe, get that coupon code, use that coupon code on a purchase they were already planning on making, and then immediately opt out of your program. So kind of a lose-lose situation. So if you are going to use it, test. You're going to get into this right now, but figure out if you are going to use a coupon code, whether you use it in that first message or one of the subsequent messages.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Moving into test, there's a lot of opportunities with this to test. So whether it be your subject line, I'm doing some A/B testing around that, whether it be the cadence between your welcome series. You've got this engaged audience testing a short period of time between each message versus a few more days. So really testing different components, making sure that you have, calls to action above the fold, and where those are located is a great opportunity to test too. And so lots of opportunity there.
Absolutely. And going into the preference center here, we've mentioned progressive profiling a few times now, and in the Bike Bandit example, they leverage implicit and explicit tactics in their subscriber profiling. So, building a subscriber preference based on click behavior, kind of the implicit route, but also asking them flat out to visit a preference center to provide more information about themselves. So if you're going to be going out of your way to, edit your content to direct traffic to a preference center, make sure you've kind of buttoned everything up there as well. Make sure all the profile data points you'll need to make your email program as relevant as possible are there. And at the same time, spare your subscriber any additional fields that you won't be able to do anything with. You don't need to know their neck size or, unless, of course, you sell suits, or, your shoe size unless you're, a cobbler or a shoe salesperson. So, definitely don't kill them with a 16-page long preference center. Get just the information you're going to need to power your relevant messages.
As you can see here on this PacSun example, they actually have a secondary call to action to drive you back to the preference center to get a little bit more of that information.
Yeah, it's kind of a great message where they have a lot of those key elements all in one. Pretty much could go down the list and check them off. You have the thanks, the exclusive coupon code, the preference center. So it's a pretty good example of kind of keeping it nice, clean, but still having all those elements in there. Dynamic content, another thing to consider. We talked earlier about leveraging dynamic content from a relevance and segmentation perspective, but another consideration is to utilize dynamic content from an educational perspective. Help your future deliverability rates by including a snippet or blurb about how to whitelist, star, add your sender domain to contacts, etc. Whatever that experience is in
from an ISP level.
Yeah, from an ISP perspective, exactly. And obviously this leads into a hot topic that I'm sure you're all trying to deal with right now, the Google tabs. I feel that the jury's still out and there isn't necessarily a blanket approach to this, but based on kind of where you want to go with your brand's approach, this can be an opportunity to give your brand direction, your subscribers direction during the welcome series. And actually our VP of Strategy, Kara Dragunovich, is speaking at our Lifecycle Message Conferencing about this subject. So, if you'll be joining us, come and join that particular lecture, or I don't know what you call these things.
Session,
thank you. I'm really not hip to the conference slang, but that's why I'm going to pass it over to you, Ashley, because that's kind of your forte.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian and Megan. So, yeah, as Brian mentioned, we are having our 5th annual Lifecycle Messaging Conference held here in beautiful San Diego next week, October 9th through the 11th. We have some thought leaders in the industry speaking. Mitch Joel, who's the author of Control, Alt, Delete, Jay Baer, who's a New York Times bestseller, an author of Futility. And we have attendees from brands like The Ladder, Xerox, Vic Swimwear, Brighton Collectibles, Marketing Sherpa. Registration is now closed, unfortunately, but you can follow the action on Twitter using hashtag LCMC13. So with that, we have a ton of questions that came in. The first one, let's see, what type of personalization, other than first name, do you guys see working well?
Well, it's definitely going to vary brand to brand, but some personalization that perhaps isn't as obvious as hey, your first name can include referencing dates that are meaningful to the subscriber. Really keying in whether it was like an anniversary or birthday, or friend's birthday, whatever kind of was acquired during the sign-up form can always be leveraged. If the zip code or state, which is kind of a standard in the acquisition, is passed over, you could personalize the send time of your messages so that it hits their inbox, on the East Coast differently than it would on the West Coast.
Also with that, like geo-target, if there's, if you have brick-and-mortar stores, if you have events going on at one of your brick-and-mortar stores, maybe make a piece of dynamic content that geo-targets based on location would be really great. Yeah,
absolutely. Or even, if it's like sports team related or something like that, where there's a real strong kind of regional, pride, you would throw in kind of some imagery that speaks to that. So, you wouldn't be sending, let's say, I don't know, there's a lot of Notre Dame fans around LA, but still, you would probably go more SC or UCLA there, and then, on the East Coast, maybe, show some Notre Dame jerseys or what have you. For Welcome Series, it is a little tougher since there isn't a rich history of data to rely on. So, whatever is in your sign-up forms that you think that you could weave into your messaging, go for it.
Without being creepy, of course.
Yeah, don't be creepy. Don't be creepy.
All right, next question. Do you recommend using a unique coupon code to drive revenue, or is it best to send a generic coupon code that can be shared during your Welcome Series?
Great question. Really at Blue Hornet, we're big advocates of unique coupons. It really gives you the ability to use unique coupons so that it doesn't go viral, so you can provide a bigger offer to those subscribers and get them to, especially those non-purchasers who you're trying to drive to a first-time purchase. And so we recommend a unique coupon code, but it definitely depends on the brand and what works best for you. And what's great about Blue Hornet's unique coupon distribution is you're able to leverage couponing across standard and triggered messaging with unique codes, and we have a really easy way to upload the codes, and then the marketer is in control then to make sure it doesn't go viral for tracking purposes, that sort of thing.
Of course, but if it's your strategy to go viral, then
if you want to go viral,
if you want that to happen, if it's not a promotion that's going to break the bank, and it's kind of your standard 5%, 10%, or kind of like the Bed Bath & Beyond example where you're getting that 20% like every Wednesday. If it's something like that you want it to hit as many people as possible, then keep it simple. Just use the generic code and see what happens.
Cool. So let's see. I was wondering about the yoga example welcome message. Do you think using a large image is risky at the first point of contact? If recipients have their images switched off, the email won't look so great.
Good point. And yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to definitely vary brand to brand in terms of the imagery you use. But as a best practice, your welcome series, you're probably going to want a lot more rich text in there rather than just images, just exactly for that reason. And this is your first email to the subscriber, so they probably haven't gone out of their way to click that button that says always display images from your brand. So great point here.
I kind of would debate the other, though. I mean, I think nowadays subscribers are so used to loading images. They know that that's not a spammy behavior. You typically do need to load images. So having a very rich photography is a good thing to highlight as well. So I guess there's kind of two sides to the coin there. Yeah.
As Kara always says, it depends.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is the optimal cadence, or is there an optimal cadence for a welcome series?
don't want to string it too long, I guess. I guess the initial cadence you'd want as immediately as possible. They're interacting with your brand right there. They're kind of expecting it to hit your inbox.
Right away.
A lot of people are maybe even expecting a coupon code right away. So, unfortunately, you might be bumming them out if you take our advice here and don't include on the first one. But again, if that's your strategy, go for it. So I think starting off with that initial immediate welcome, and then going back to the it depends, test strategy. There isn't a one-size-fits-all here. It's really going to come down to what works for your brand and your audience. So,
but you do have some excitement going, right?
Yeah.
Signing up, so you definitely want to think about maybe starting with, I think, like a little shorter cadence to start, since you've got kind of an engaged audience that's opening and clicking more than potentially 6 months from now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're pausing your promotional stream and you're really dialed in your messaging, some brands can get away with a message immediately on sign up and then following up the next day or a couple days later. It really is going to vary brand to brand. But have some fun, get creative, figure out what's going to work best for you, and go for it.
All right. What do you think of doing a gender-segmented welcome series? Is it worth the effort?
Yeah,
interesting question. Yeah, I think it's definitely could be worth it, especially if you use that progressive profiling and you notice that they're selecting men versus women, say, clothing. It could be good to try to do that second message in the series. Maybe has a more gender-focused hero image. But know that a lot of women, sometimes buy for men, right? So you'll want to, maybe your secondary content has the other gender included, but the main shot is what they clicked on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes we as marketers can make certain assumptions, but it could be the wrong assumptions, and that's a great example. Sometimes we think, they acquired through the women's department page.
So that's all they're going to want to buy.
Exactly, and that might not be the case. A lot of times, or even like the kids section. I don't know, predominantly, I don't know if it sounds sexist here, but if women are typically shopping more for their children than men, you could be missing out on some potential things. So an example like that, maybe it's best to leave that for progressive profiling, like you said, and maybe from an explicit standpoint where it's, you pose the question, like, I want to shop for, rather than I am a male or female, I shop for, men, females, elderly people, children, what have you. That's kind of maybe the route to go in that example.
That's a funny question. What is an example of being creepy?
Yeah, I've got a good example of this. So I think that, sending remarketing messages based on browse behavior is a really great strategy, but there definitely is a limit to it, right? So I'm not going to mention the retailer, but I've recently been shopping at a certain retailer, and I swear, based on every single product page I go to, they send me a message, we see that you are interested in this, or in this, and it's just a little bit overbearing. I like, browse behavior can be really good if I spend quite a bit of time on one product page. Great, send me a message that drives me back there. I think that can be very, very effective, but definitely look at frequency of messaging and how much you go after that subscriber, because that gets a little overbearing.
Yeah, there's a lot of creepy examples out there that I'm sure you're aware of, so that's good.
Related to the same thing, in the sent from form, we use the first name of one of our team members. Example, Caitlin with no last name. We see high open rates each time, especially when tested against our company name. Is this considered creepy or misleading?
So is that if the message is coming from Caitlin instead of the company?
And is this during, I guess it depends. If it's like, at the beginning, a welcome series, at first you're like, who's Caitlin? But I think maybe after a welcome series and you've explained this is our brand and Caitlin is a member of our brand, that would make sense. I don't know, from a welcome series, I guess it depends. Again.
Well, we actually have a client I know that, says, hi, this is a welcome from, say, Caitlin, who is our head of a product or whatever. And so they put a face with the brand. So I think that's probably why it's so effective, is you're putting an actual person with that brand and maybe even a picture. So they're like, oh, there's actually somebody behind this brand. So I think probably that's why it could be effective. But I agree with Brian. It might not be the best solution for all clients, but it's definitely something worth testing, right? Doing an A/B test to see if brand name versus a face and a name is a little more effective.
And I wouldn't maybe classify it as creepy, but potentially spammy. I think there's more phishing emails and emails are trying to look like it could be confusing, and when in doubt, most people are just going to either delete or mark it as spam. I think we're so weary now of clicking a link that just puts this crazy malware on our email that we err on the side of caution. Be like, who's Caitlin? That looks a little fishy. So more food for thought, I guess.
Do you have any results or anecdotal knowledge about how a one-part welcome email performs versus a multi-touch series? Again, you're really going to need to test. We've seen, other than anecdotally, the bike bandit's a great example of where, a really tailored multi-email series performed head and shoulders against a one email. Of course, maybe that's not every brand. If you have a very simple, easy to follow, straightforward brand, you could get away with there's a lot of brands that get away with a one email and are very effective with it.
Absolutely. Like looking at the Lululemon example here, that was one message. It wasn't a series. So it doesn't always have to be a multi. It really depends on how much you have to say. Do you have enough relevant information to say? And then testing into it. Are subscribers opting out because you're sending them 3 welcome messages? Or are they more engaged, more return purchasers, that sort of thing? So it really depends on the brand and testing into it.
What is the average responsiveness when a preference center is offered?
And obviously that sounds like a job for marketing Sherpa or something like that, who are just excellent at testing.
Or our strategy team.
Yeah, our strategy team, exactly. But, I don't know if we have these stats, readily available. However, I think it really comes down to how convincing your argument is for the subscriber to take the time to click through your preference center. You kind of almost have to maybe even phrase it in what are they going to get out of it? I'm going to click this link and I'm going to give you a lot of information about myself. What's in it for me? And if maybe you frame that.
Get you a great offer on your birthday or your anniversary if you fill out this information, right?
Exactly, yeah. If I'm incented to say, hey, take the time to fill out preference center so that you could get deals on your birthday, or we could provide special events in your area, or what have you, things that mean something to me. I'll probably go out of my way to make sure that the email that a particular brand's sending me is more relevant.
All right, we have one more question. How do you feel about animated, I never know how to say this, GIFs in a welcome series?
Yeah, so animated GIFs is a really cool added feature. You got to note that it still does not render correctly in some ISPs, like Outlook. You're not going to see that animated GIF, so making sure that first frame shows everything you want to see, because that's what's going to show up in Outlook in some ISPs. But I think animated GIFs are great. I think you definitely have to keep the file size down, so it doesn't weigh down the total weight or size of the message. But it can be very effective and really create, again, some excitement maybe, depending on that message. Could go into that overall excitement and tone of that welcome message.
Absolutely, and we have a few partners that leverage animated GIFs, and there's a lot of success in kind of detecting the device or the client in which the email is opening, and then providing the most optimized format for that. So, if someone opening in Outlook would probably just get a static image, meanwhile, someone opening in a more advanced client would actually get the whole animated GIF or video GIF, if you're going to go to that level. So absolutely, again, this whole series is to wow your new subscribers. So if you have the budget to throw in a little bit of agile email marketing, a la Movable Ink or Live Clicker or what have you, go for it. I think in the end, that could be setting you up on the right foot there.
Perfect. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Megan and Brian, for joining us today. On behalf of the whole Blue Hornet marketing team, I want to thank everybody on the phone for joining us. And if you're going to be at the conference, we'd love to meet you next week. Otherwise, I hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.